The one thing that's interesting is that third week in a row, 6 o'clock on a Monday, GamePlanU today, live broadcast on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on our private Facebook group, GamePlanU. So if you're not on there yet, go and sign up, and you can join us on our private Facebook group. And that's all people that are startups, founders, folks, career seekers into sports tech, or just the sports industry in general. Some investors are in there. They share ideas and connect and do all that other good stuff. So here we are. We're March 8th, right in the middle of coronavirus extravaganza. So we have a bunch of things to talk about, and we're not going to be very long tonight. So, you could think, thank goodness we're not, right? But text us your questions down there. Throw a first name in there, 518-867-1117. If you have any questions that you want to talk about, you could opt in on Yardstream. That's where we broadcast live from Yardstream. You could opt in on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and you could ask questions. And if you ask questions on there, I could actually view them, and I could pop them up on the screen for you, so we could read them and see your name and all that other good stuff. So, but if you want to make it a little bit more discreet, you could actually text me any questions that you want. We're going to be talking about the coronavirus, cancellation of major events that have been happening. What's your point of view on those? What are you looking at? College campuses are closing down right now. So anyway, so you can see I got a little different backdrop here. I'm on the road. I've been on the road with seeing some of our alums at the University of New Haven. So I'm down in Savannah, Georgia for the next couple of days. Just came in from Atlanta. I was in Orlando. Going to be down in Charleston tomorrow for a couple of days, and then back down in Orlando. So I'm on the road. Planes are packed. So people are traveling, and I know that regardless of what's happening within the stock market and everything else, but within our world and the world of sports, we could do some interesting things happening. So sports podcast, the PodCon that I spoke at last week. So let's talk about that a little bit. So Podfest, which was down in what do you call a group of old white guys, a podcast? This was the festival of podcasters, in all different genres. It didn't really matter. It wasn't just sports, but it was a little bit of everything. It was politics. It was Latin. It was health and wellness. There's 2,000 podcasters down there sharing information. It was a lot of high energy. It was great. My part of it, I was asked to speak at the SportsPodCon. It's a small part of it, which was the first 2 days. And I discussed my own story, how I got into podcasting, and then how it got me unstuck in some things I was doing in my life and in my career at the time. Open up some doors to write a book. Open up some doors to other things that I'm doing with GamePlanU, and connecting startups, startovers, and investors together, as well as coaching and consulting with some startups and some mid and early stage businesses as well. So podcasting has been a way for me to connect, and express my thoughts and share some stories and connect some people together. So anyway, so that's just came back from that in Orlando. It was an unbelievable event. I'm glad I went. I definitely will go back next year. I saw some alums when I was there in Orlando as well. So it was a very, very worthwhile trip. If you have any questions, again, just text me 518-867-1117, and or you can make a comment, but you have to opt into this software so I can show your comment on screen. So NCAA playoffs, topic of discussion is no fans. Colleges are starting to close down their campuses, and canceled events, especially coming up in March Madness. Will this be the first year ever that schools are not going to have their fans, their alumni base attend live the March Madness events? It's a little bit hard to even comprehend and hard to even think about. I want to know your thoughts on that. Canceled events like South by Southwest has been canceled. Music festivals are being canceled. Major conferences that have been planned for years in advance. Registrations paid for, hotels booked, flights paid for. It's the trickle down effect is going to be something that I think is going to last for a while. Something major has got to happen, I guess, for us to get our to get the attention off it. But it's very real, and people are scared by it, obviously. And I think they're more. I think they're a little bit more afraid of getting sued if they do still have the events, or do they still do have campuses open. But interested to hear what you have to say in that regard. It's very interesting. I know a lot of these events and these bigger events, obviously conferences, they have insurance for these types of things. So it's just very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting what's going to happen, and the scare factors that lead people down this road. So I don't know. I just love to hear your thoughts on it. I think the NCAA playoffs and what's happening now, especially with college campuses in any state right now that is being that's under emergency services and lockdown for the most part. I don't know if there's going to be a point in the near future in the next couple of months where they're just going to start canceling flights into the U.S. and out of the U.S. So very, very interesting time that I don't think any of us has ever lived through, except for probably the wars. But too young for those things in Vietnam and World War II and all that. But I don't know if those are the same cases of what happened then. But this is for a something that I don't know. It's interesting. My position on it is, the flu takes a lot of people every year, and I know it's a very, very extreme case of the flu, but I think the media overhyped some things, in my personal opinion. And what's next? I couldn't even imagine if they even said that we saw a meteorite heading towards our planet, and what would that look like if we only had a month left? I can't see that. At some point that may happen. I don't know. Anyways, that's a lot different than this, though. But obviously, so text me if you have any questions. I'd love to know your opinion. Not if you have any questions, but I know if you love your opinion, and if you do have questions on this, what my opinion is, but just text it to me. It doesn't have to actually be a question. Here we go. So, what happens then if events are canceled? The NCAA events are canceled. Do they make them up? I would say that they're probably going to be postponed until it settles down. Once everything levels off, I think that's when it's going to be postponed. It's still early enough, obviously, besides before school gets canceled, or the school year is over. How about NBA, and how about NHL? Yeah, that's pro, and baseball too. Yeah, that's another thing. I think there's going to be some consideration there as well. Obviously the lifeline on those leagues depend upon ticket sales, and so if they're going to defer them, or maybe they'll postpone some of those games, try to reschedule them. I don't know if that's going to actually happen. I don't see them playing in front of no fans at all, especially in the pro level, but maybe in college they will go down that road. But it's going to be interesting to see how the trickle-down effect happens after that. So anyways, we do have an event on May 28th and May 30th. It's a very, very, it's compared to everything else, they're very small. We have maybe 30 to 50 people. It's at Camping World Stadium. We don't have any plans right now to postpone it, although we are working on another date for the summer for another event. This would be our third at GamePlanU Startup Weekends. So May 28th, May 30th, we still plan on moving forward at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, regardless. So if it's and we still have smaller groups, but by that time we're hoping that this panic and this the strain will be quarantined a little bit more by that time. So we don't have any plans. I think only because we just don't have the volume of people some of these other bigger major events do have. So it's going to be interesting. Anyway, so if you have any other questions, feel free to text me or make a comment below. Certainly happy to answer any questions that you do have. Obviously, everything that's happened right now with the coronavirus is front and center. It's hard to get away from it from the news perspective. Yeah, it's just interesting to see how it's going to affect the dynamic of college, pro, high school, travel industry, the cruise industry, movie theaters, the trickle-down effect. I mean, people are waiting for, and now the stock market is going crazy right now. So I think everybody just buckle in for a while. It's going to be a pretty interesting next 2 months while this thing settles in and settles down. I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to really affect us long term. At least it doesn't seem that way. But the trickle-down effect of this could shift some things and could make some people think differently and make organizations and in the sports industry and they're in the entertainment industry and the travel industry think a little bit differently about some policies and procedures and insurance policies and all those other things that are come along with it. So I don't think with all the technology that we have out there right now, it's going to be interesting to see how that becomes and gets into play with all of this. And what opportunities kind of come out of this hysteria. I guess I could call it. Anyway, so last question. Do you see people getting refunded for their season tickets if games are canceled? I think they're going to first offer it for playoffs. So if your team does make the playoff, we're talking about major or pro or minor league sports. If your team does make it to the playoffs, whatever games they do postpone or they don't allow fans in, if they go down that route, I would say if they don't allow fans in, I don't see why you have it at the arena. You could probably have it at a smaller facility so you could save some costs, like a high school rink. If you can do basketball or a high school, I don't know. You may want to go that route instead of having taken on those costs, because just as soon as you open the doors, you still have to have people there. You still have to have cleaners. You still have to have all the production. I don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, you probably couldn't do that because they still have to film the game. But anyways, so I would assume that they're going to first offer your playoff tickets if that's the case. And if not, they'll probably some type of, when you renew the following year, your season tickets, they'll probably add those in or give you some kind of prorate on it. I don't see them. I don't see anybody getting a rebate check or a refund. I don't think that's going to be. That's probably written into their policy and their code that based on natural disasters or natural whatever happens, which this I would assume this goes into that category that they're not responsible for providing refunds on any type of ticket. So I think it's very similar to the cruise line and for the airlines as well. Anyway, so interesting. So text me if you have any questions or a point of view. Yeah, I don't know. It's buckle up, everybody. Buckle up and get ready. So, the one thing that's going to be good is that I don't have to travel to do this, my shows or anybody else. And you can see a lot of these startup and these demo days are now, they're starting to cancel and we're going to go all video. So you can be able to pitch right on video now, which I guess is a good thing. But another thing is, especially with universities and probably high schools, is that it's going to bring digital learning and online learning a little bit more to the forefront, because they're going to have to shift over to that for the next couple of weeks. And if, especially, if you're off of spring break, classes now are probably going to be online for a little while using Zoom technology or digital learning platforms that they have. So I think it's going to bring it to the forefront that how important is it going to be to be on campus. It's definitely not for everybody, and maybe this is a good indication, a good test of that. So I don't know, but next weekend, next Monday, March 16th, we'll be back with GamePlanU today. If you haven't done so already, go to YouTube, on Instagram, and Twitter, and follow us on Sports Biz Radio. That's the umbrella. So go subscribe, especially to YouTube. We're all my one-on-one, the one-on-one interviews that we have are all there, and so it's a sort of a library there, and you can go back and you can see some of the folks that we have interviewed through the years. So thanks for joining me, and it was a little bit of a different, I was on the road today, it's a little bit of a different conversation, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Have a great week. Be safe and wash your hands out there, everybody. So all the best. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us in GamePlanU.